Hey everyone in the Reclaiming You Lounge. So, well, I'm still in lockdown for the next half hour, but fortunately there's been no other cases at this stage, which is great news. But I have been making the most of the time. Sorry, I've been around a lot of humans, as you can see. I've just kind of been working away on various things like my new YouTube channel. So just giving it a little shout out. So if you guys want to go and subscribe, I would love that. And I'm going to be uploading various videos, and I have a new interview series starting soon, and that will be the Radiant Woman series, The Unstoppable You. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll be having various women coming on, and it's all about women that are empowering other women to lead happier, healthier, more purpose-aligned lives. So I think it's really important, and I did a post on it the other day how I'm so in awe of so many women out there that are really have it on their heart to help other women. It's amazing to see. So you probably see in the subject description line there, often, things come up. We're triggered, we find ourselves like having these thoughts, these fears arise. And, sometimes we're like, what do we do? And I absolutely love journaling. So that is something I would say is great. In the moment, you can, if you can, obviously it's not always convenient if you're driving or something like that. But if you can, I encourage you to really start journaling just to see what is sitting there under the surface. But what I want to actually talk about tonight is a really effective technique that I've been, including in some of my programs the last couple of years. It's something that came on my radar a few years ago, but it's something I regularly use. I've started using it again daily. So I'm talking about EFT. So let me know in the comments if this is something that you are familiar with. Maybe it's something that you've heard about. Maybe you tried it once or twice. Maybe you also use it regularly. But this technique, emotional freedom technique, Nilva, hey, how are you? And I think I saw Nicolette too. Hi. It's a technique that it's actually really effective. So what it is, it's actually kind of tapping on various meridian points on the upper body. And what it is said to do, and they've actually done studies on it, but it is actually said to help you alleviate emotional symptoms in the moment, physical symptoms. I even use it to banish limiting beliefs and things like that as well. So it's quite powerful for all of those things. Tapping on these meridian points, it's amazing that, studies have shown you can lower cortisol. We know cortisol's, one of the aging hormones. It's a stress hormone. So as cortisol's up and the other stress hormones are up, it has a pretty detrimental effect on our blood sugar and our other sex hormones. But what happens is when you are tapping on these points, studies have shown it lowers cortisol and it gets you out of that red alert amygdala fight or flight response. It sort of helps you stay connected to your body as well. So many of us are walking around in our heads all the time, thinking, overanalyzing, and we're not really in our bodies. As they say, we're really ungrounded. So this is a great way to get you connected to your body because you're tapping on these points. And as I said, it's emotional freedom technique, EFT, tapping, but, you can use it for various, in various ways. So let's look at a few of them. But what I find interesting is, and they've done hundreds of studies on this, but they've shown that when you tap on these, various points, it can actually help with reducing stress in the body, reducing physical pain, helping with things like even PTSD symptoms. It can even help you with weight loss, which is interesting. And I will just go through a couple of different little resources here. The first two online. So Brad Yates, so he's got a YouTube channel and he's got some amazing EFT videos. I've been following him on and off for a few years. So you can pretty much just, do Brad Yates and you can search in his channel and he's got, EFT sequences and processes you can follow along pretty much for everything. If you're feeling fears about being rejected, if you're feeling unworthy, he'll have a video on it. But also in this tapping world, Nick Ortner is pretty big. He has a tapping summit each year and he does that with his sister Jessica. So that's one of his books, and Jessica has a book on using tapping to help you with losing weight. So there's some great resources. As I said, you can look online. They do have some books. Someone else who is an EFT master, she's been around for a long time, is Carol Look. So I just borrowed this from the library, as you can see. I've got so many books here, but I've been following along. Now, this is a really good one because it's all about abundance. So she's actually, shows you various, or walks you through various processes in terms of your beliefs around money. So, for instance, just say you have to work really hard for money. Just say that's a limiting belief for you that's still there. And when you really think about it, it's like, you know what, because you rate it out of 10, because you want to always have like a way that you can measure if it's dropped and how much it's dropped by. But, just say you say, look, you've got to work really hard for money. Look, that's still about a 9 out of 10, say, for instance. So that gives you something to work with. You can say, okay, great. So unlike other processes, so as we know with law of attraction, law of vibration, things like that, it's like, don't give it any energy, keep your vibration up, like, don't think about it. With this, you want to think about it. You want to bring up all of the energy, all of the intensity, all of the emotions around it, because as you're bringing it up, you're in the thick of it and you're tapping on it. So that's what's going to bring that stress response and what's going to bring the charge and the intensity right down. So in that example, what you always do is there's a setup statement. And you basically, and I'll walk you through these points just to, I'm sure, as I said, there's probably people here that are familiar with it. Maybe you've used it a few times, maybe you use it all the time, but let's just do a few little, tapping sequences together here. So if we were doing it, for instance, on that, you've got to work really hard for money, for example. And then we'll do one on emotions together in a moment. But with that one, you always tap on the karate point. So, if you were going to like chop some wood, like there's that karate point. So that's one of the meridian points. So, if you're going to go and have acupressure or acupuncture, they will use, with acupressure, you're just pressing on those points. With acupuncture, obviously, it's like those little very fine needles. But it's all about sort of, creating more flow in the body and these energy channels. We know everything's energy. So anyway, you will tap on this karate chop and you're going to say it 3 times, but you're going to almost close it off with something about, loving and honoring and accepting yourself where you're at, something like that. So this is how you could go about doing it. Even though I feel like you've got to work really hard for money, I deeply and completely, I love, honor and accept myself anyway. Even though I feel like you've just got to work so hard for money, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. Even though I feel like you've got to work so hard for money, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. So it's always 3 times. And then you tap on each of these points, and I'll walk you through them in a moment. You tap on them, 5 to 10 times, something like that. But this is the one, so it's sort of, inner eyebrow. So you can do it either side. It doesn't matter, either hand. Sometimes people would do it like that. I would just do it, one side at a time. And you want to bring to mind all of the energy, all of the charge, everything around working hard for money. So even if you just keep repeating, I've got to work really hard for money. And then it's sort of the other side of the eyebrow. And once again, you'll be tapping 5 to 10 times. And then you've got under the eye. So, you sort of think where your pupil is. So kind of, under there. And then you tap under the nose or kind of, the upper lip, sort of above the upper lip. And as I said, it's about 5 to 10 times. And then it's sort of on the chin area. Once again, same amount of times. And you're actually saying it and thinking it as you're tapping on these points. I'm just showing you these points. Then it's the collarbone. As I said, it doesn't really matter, just under the collarbone there. It doesn't really matter what side. You can do both sides at once. Then it's under the arm, but where the bra strap sort of is, that makes sense. And then it's top of the head. That's all you have to do. Like there is other points, there's gamut points and things like that on the hands. Don't worry about that. Just do this basic sequencing. And then you kind of, you would do sort of like a sequence, you'll go do one round and, see how you're feeling. You might want to, and then you just usually would do a breath. How am I feeling? So I'm it's just saying about 7. Okay, great. So you can keep going. But what you can do is as you're tapping on those points, so, you've got to work hard for money. And it's just so frustrating. Because, working so hard for money, I just feel like that's a recipe for burnout. And I just don't know if I have that energy. It's just not fair. Like, I don't want to keep working really hard. I feel like it's this vicious cycle. I've got to work hard for money. Got to work hard for money. So now I feel it's about a 3. Great. So, then you could do it again. And as I said, anything related to it. So you might start, coming up with, watching your parents or, whatever it is that you're relating to it that is kind of tied to it in your mind, that's bringing up an intensity. You just keep tapping on it. And then, once again, you would, once you finish the round, take a breath in, breathe out. When you feel it's about 0, then what you can do is, usually it's good to finish it off with a positive round. And you have to do the karate point again. You could just start there. So I choose to believe that money comes to me easily and effortlessly. There is countless examples of people out there that are making large sums of money and they're only working a few hours a week. So I choose now to believe that money flows easily and effortlessly, and I'm open to receiving. And I get to make money and I get to have fun doing it. Because you know what? Money's just energy. And I'm in the flow of abundance each and every day. There's plenty for everyone. So I choose for money to come to me easily and effortlessly now. So that's what you do if you were doing it around a belief or something that comes up that doesn't work for you anymore. Also, what you can do it is, so I did it the other day. So I got really triggered about, and I was lucky I had Creatrix, but, you guys saw that I did that, process of moving it through the body. We're in the body, and it's a great way to just move the energy through. I had a lot of anger come up, and that was all around the infected guy that came down here and is not cooperating with police, and, he's not telling them where he was. That's why we've been in lockdown. Anyway, so I was just furious. So it was coming up, that whole anger. I was so annoyed. That was the exact verbiage. So I tapped on it. So what this could look like is, once again, going back to that previous example, you do the karate chop. So even though I'm so annoyed right now, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. Even though I am so friggin' annoyed, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. Even though I am so annoyed by what's just gone down, that I'm really furious. I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. And once again, just say it was 10 out of 10. We always rate it beforehand. Just think about it, and just say whatever comes to mind. I'm so annoyed. Like, I actually feel enraged. I feel furious, actually. Like, what comes up is, how dare he? I'm so annoyed. And I feel like that's just the icing on the cake. I'm just so annoyed everything's going wrong at the moment. I'm so annoyed. All this annoyance. I just can't stand it. I'm so friggin' annoyed. I'm so annoyed. So annoyed. So annoyed. I'm just so annoyed. So annoyed. So now it's dropped to about a 2. Great. So once again, you can do it again. And then, when you do the positive round, you could be plugging in what you'd rather have. So, I choose to feel a state of peace and calm. Because you know what, I realize I'm not going to let anyone else affect me and my energy and my mood and my physiology. Because you know what? Emotions come, emotions go, it's all just energy. And I choose in this moment to feel calm. I choose in this moment to feel joy. I am happy. I am free. I am a sovereign being. And I choose to be happy, free, and peaceful in this moment. Something like that. So you can see how you can do it when an emotion comes up. You can do it from a limiting belief. You can also do it around fear. So fear is a good one too. So how sometimes, for instance, an opportunity comes up and you think in a lot of ways, yeah, it's great, but then it brings up all these fears. Oh my gosh, but putting myself out there, like that means that maybe, I don't know, like might be subjected to people's judgment, and I really don't want that. Or, what happens if I can't answer like some of the questions? Like, what happens if they put me on the spot? Or, what if I fumble and I look like an idiot? Whatever it comes up. So once again, you could do it for that situation. So in that case, you might do, once again, the setup. So even though I have all of these fears coming up around being seen, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. Even though I have all of these fears about being seen, about putting myself out there, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. Even though all these fears around being seen, around putting myself out there, or the fear of judgment, I deeply and completely love, honor, and accept myself anyway. All these fears of being seen, all the potential judgment, I just don't know if I can handle it. What will people say? What happens if people put me on the spot and I don't have the answer and I fumble and I look like an idiot? All these fears of putting myself out there, I just can't do it. All these fears of being seen. All these fears of judgment, these fears of not being in control, these fears of being, ridiculed, all these fears of rejection, these fears of, is it good enough what I have to say? All these fears. Now, the breathing's great to just be able to move through that energy. And then, just tune in. Okay, it's about a 3. So then you'll keep doing it until you get it right down. And it is amazing how you do start to feel really calm. Because as they say, it's like when we are tapping, it's like we're rewiring the brain to then be able to, to be more calm, more clear, more focused, to, make better decisions, to take better actions, to show up differently, to, release physical pain from our body, release the charge and intensity around some of these emotional states, to be able to help us to release some of these traumas. So, I really do encourage you to just play around with it. As I said, there's some great resources, follow along to this, but it's basically just that whole premise of, you're tapping on those acupuncture points. And as I said, or those meridian points rather, and as you're tapping on them, just bring it all to mind, all of the charge, all the intensity, and then just keep tapping. And then, as I said, what I usually do as well is I will usually do it until I start yawning. So you guys know when you watch my videos, when I do energy sessions or, things like that, I do yawn a lot. To me, that's a sign that energy shifted. So when you are doing these tapping, you can tap along until you start yawning as well. And then you kind of know, oh, good, it's shifted. And then, as I said, I always encourage you to do a positive round afterwards. So anyway, let me know how that serves you. But that is the key thing. I just want you to remember with this, it's different from the law of attraction, law of visualization, vibration, all of that. You want to be in the energy of it, because that is the way you're going to really reduce the stress response and release that which is sitting there. But what I found interesting is, and this is just one little study I was going to say, but there was this study of 83 people, and after 1 hour of EFT, which sounds like a lot, but it can actually go quite quickly when, as you just saw, if you're doing a few rounds and you're really bringing it up and you're bringing everything to mind and you're tapping through it and, and then you do the positive round and things like that, they said in this study, these 83 people, so after 1 hour of EFT versus 1 hour of just standard talk therapy, or then there was also a no treatment control group, the EFT participants, their cortisol levels were reduced by something like 25%, and with some as high as 50% reduction. So that's pretty big. And then, as I said, since then there's been, dozens of other studies that have really shown that this can help you with things like traumas and PTSD and phobias and anxiety. So it is a great way that you can start to really alter, as I said, those neural pathways in the brain. So, Heidi, hey, how are you? And Tracy, do you have to say your fears out loud? I think it's good to. You don't have to, but when you're alone, like, yes, do it, even if you just have the car obviously switched off, you're not driving, but just do it in the car, do it in the toilet, do it in the shower, do it when you're walking. So it was interesting. Over the years, I mean, when I used to go for a walk on my own, now I tend to go with the dogs and Richard and stuff like that. But, definitely, I would tap on anything that came up. And so I would be walking along, saying it and tapping. But, so I would probably encourage you to say it, because I think when you say it, but even thinking it's fine, but even just saying it, I think it just brings everything up, and then you can just release it. And then, as I said, it's always really nice to just finish off with that positive round if you can. But, hopefully, as I said, this kind of served you, because it is something that I do use very regularly. I have included in various programs that I've run, and I seem to see it in a lot of programs that are still out there that are being run by high-level coaches. So I do encourage you, as I said, to have this little, technique that you use there in your tool bag. As we said, it's great to just have this tool bag of different things, whether it's breath work, whether it's, a NLP technique, or, whatever it might be. This is a great one that you can use. And as I said, that's why I think it's so versatile, because you can use it for fears, you can do it for emotions, you can do it for limiting beliefs and blocks and things like that as they arise. And then, as I said, go and check out the resources. Brad Yates, you've got Nick and Jessica Ortner, like the tapping solutions, and then you've got whole programs, as I said, like Carol Look. So I'm just working my way through that. Another one that I bought a few years back was Tapping into Wealth, and that was by Margaret Lynch. So that's also a full program in itself. She's a success coach, and she's also a leading expert in tapping. So many people use it with great success. So I do, and as I said, the fact that they've got all these studies now that are really verifying just how effective it is. So yeah, go check it out, and let me know how you go with that. Anyway, I'll be back at about 7:30 with our guided meditation for the evening. So see you then.